I am Yolanda Russell. I was born in Chicago, and I live in Florida now. I've lived in a couple other places in between, but my family moved to Portland. Well, actually, my grandparents moved to Portland during the Great Migration, lived in Vanport till there was a flood, and they moved to Portland. And then my mother and father moved there in 1959, I believe, from Chicago. I went to University of Oregon, as I mentioned, and I met several people who had told me some history of University of Oregon. It had been segregated, of course, like the rest of the United States. And they mentioned different people who had gone to school there. And I knew some of the names from friends of my mother, who she worked with in Portland, who were teachers and other things. Ellen Law was one of those people they mentioned who I knew about. She had been, I knew her as the principal at Jefferson High School. I had friends that had gone to Jefferson. So I found out later that she was a Delta and that she had quite a time at University of Oregon during that segregated time. And I admired what she had gone through and how she had survived that experience. And so, of course, when I got the opportunity to be a Delta and work with more and get to know more of those women, I was excited for that opportunity. Well, my mother and I were relatively new to the sorority and fraternity world, and we were so excited to be in Beta Psi. And when we realized that we were going to be transitioning to an alumni chapter and have an undergrad chapter, it was an honor to go forward and create that new opportunity, because then we knew we would be more focused in terms of Beta Psi with undergrads, and that there were particular opportunities with undergrads, and people were all along the continuum about that transition, as you've probably experienced in talking to people. People who probably had been Beta Psi members longer than us were maybe more attached to that, and I was very attached and very proud to be in Beta Psi. But it was also exciting for us to transition to the alumni chapter, because it kind of made a distinction for us to create that opportunity. And we started to focus more on reaching out to the colleges, specifically to start chapters at the colleges. Although, of course, I only wanted them to have chapters at University of Oregon because I only cared about University of Oregon. And I have friends, accidentally, I have friends that became people that I knew at the other colleges who became friends accidentally. One of my best friends went to Oregon State. She's whatever that critter is that they are. I don't even know what that thing is. It's just, it's undescribable. But I'm a duck and I love University of Oregon. And I was excited for the opportunity to start an undergraduate chapter there. We probably did. I don't remember it so much as pushback. I might have been too innocent at the time. What I remember was concern about doing it properly. I think we wanted to really know what was involved so we could do it properly and be appropriate. And of course, there's always that, you're having to leave something that you've done for a really long time. It's like moving to a new house. You love the house you were in and you had lots of memories there, and it's hard to move to that new place. But I think we really wanted to do the best job we could to set up success for the undergraduate chapter, and also make sure that the alumni chapter was successful in our new venture, and just not quite knowing what we were doing. And God, I felt like we got a lot of support. I might have been, I don't know. I don't know if I'm too optimistic or just blocked out the memories of the things that didn't work for us, but it seems like we all worked really well together to make that adjustment, and, you know, had some pride in starting something new. I think we always felt close to the chapters in Washington. We had events with them. We had award ceremonies with them to honor members throughout the region. I don't think our relationship to the California chapters was quite as strong, but we were very close to I felt very close to the chapters in Washington, and it might be because we had a founder there, and we always loved going up there. And at the award ceremonies and recognition ceremonies, my mother got an award one year, and Soror Blossom got awards. I mean, we felt like we were as well represented when we went to spend time with them as when they came to see us. So we met in a lot of different places. I think early on, when we first became Sorors, we tended to meet at people's homes. We got to be too many of us to do that. Some people have big houses and we could all squeeze in there. We did meet at some places in the community. Probably had some favorite places that we met, but I think one of the favorite places that we met was and we would squeeze in there. One of my sorors, Rosemary Harris, who lived in Vancouver at the time. I don't know if she still lives in Vancouver. And we always had a good time over there. Well, I felt supported because I wasn't in a leadership position. So I think I probably didn't experience much of any buffering that was, I think we were protected kind of by our leaders, although almost all of our members were members of other organizations, prominent leaders in the community. They were leaders in their churches, they were leaders in the Urban League and NAACP, and they were activists in the community. So I think because we were so involved in other organizations, for me, it felt seamless. Because I worked at the health department, I had worked at Black United Fund and the Oregon Minority AIDS Coalition. And many of our other members belonged to or worked in nonprofits and public service. Most of us worked in public service or at corporations that were friendly to community-based organizations. And the thing that I think of when you ask that question is so many of our sorors probably took that heat for us. If there was resistance or resentment to us, they took that heat, I believe, to protect us so we could stay positive and stay energized and stay focused on what we needed to do. I felt it as a calling. I felt it as a responsibility to serve the community. And I think most of us felt we were here in service of the community. And anyone who would have not appreciated that was really not in the same focus, with not the same focus that we had. Because who would turn down support for our community?
Right.
And so anyone who would, come to me and say, I don't think y'all should be doing that. They thought we were crazy when we tried to get that gas station transition. They were like, you're buying that gas station. But I love that area of town. We were right next to Portland Community College, which was an exciting place for us to be. I loved it over there. I would go over there sometimes and just eat lunch in the cafeteria to be around some young college people. And we had colleagues who taught there, and people who were involved with our sorority who taught there and took classes there. And we met there sometimes, I think, or some organization I was in met there. I'm not sure if it was us or someone else. But I always felt supported. And I think it's because I blocked out people who were not supportive and just said, oh, okay, thank you. And let me go find some people who can be supportive and help me with what I'm doing. Because we had too much to get done to be held up by people who didn't want to support us. That was their problem, really. Because we were up to some good. We were really up to some good. And so that was their personal problem if they didn't support us, you know. I had two. The pancake breakfast was a favorite event because whatever that recipe was, I don't know what it was, that made those pancakes. I think I saw some pancake boxes in the kitchen, but it did not taste like boxed pancakes. I think those sisters put something in that pancake mix. It was so good. So I love the pancake breakfast. And it was also an opportunity for us to bring the community in and have a fabulous celebratory time with them. You know, having a meal together is always a very important thing to share with your community. So that was a fun thing. And then our Women of Excellence luncheon was really a highlight for me because we got to bring so many people to Portland who we would not normally have seen in Portland. At least I don't think we would have seen them. And several of my favorite people we got to bring to Portland. Nikki Giovanni is one of them. I love Nikki Giovanni. I love poetry. I love writing. And got to bring her. And that was really an awesome time. We had Julianne Melveau come. So many people that I wanted to meet and see and know, and got to sit and really talk with them. We had time for the sorors to sit and talk with people and ask them questions, and they did readings, and it was I think those are my two favorite events.
Fantastic.
Oh, one of my events I really loved, it wasn't an annual event, but during the time that I was a soror, I was executive director of the Oregon Minority AIDS Coalition before I worked at the health department. And when Deltas took on the issue of HIV, that was kind of groundbreaking. There were not very many other, in fact, I can't name any other, but there were not very many other Black traditional Christian type organizations that started to talk about HIV or cared about HIV. I was not very well liked in the arena where I did my work. It was a very difficult thing. But when Deltas took on HIV and recognized that Black women, like in many other health issues, we are overrepresented in that epidemic. We were overrepresented. We're still overrepresented in that epidemic. And for them to have a whole program and to invest money in training people, and we had 2 or 3 events in the community at our facilities, or we sponsored, but we had one in particular where I was able to bring in a speaker that was a woman who was an activist, and we were able to bring in several speakers who had experience specifically in HIV, but we got an opportunity at that time to involve some of the young women from St. Andrew's Church that we were mentoring. And they came to that event, which was remarkable because they were young, but it was something we were able to do because of the prevention education that we wanted. We had to admit how young some of our girls are when they become sexually active. And that is a very dangerous health issue, a disease that we want to prevent. It's more, now we have people who have essentially recovered from being HIV positive. They have no, viral load. But we had to have a very frank and honest discussion with many people in our community to get the kind of support that we needed for that. But I think that program was a success, and I was very proud that my sorors were so willing to have that discussion and so comfortable with that topic that we were able to have those events and help the community. I would say yes. We demonstrated that the community could do anything it set its mind to do. We demonstrated that all of our organizations could work together. We had many members who were members of many other organizations. And so some of the things that we participated in were initiated by the other organizations. And I was always so excited when they felt they could come to us and depend on us to participate with them. We had a very close relationship within our community. When we had members who ran for office, we all, yes, we're going to work on your campaign. Yes, we'll support you. We'll lick envelopes, whatever it is that we need to do. So I think we demonstrated that support and participation, not just in words, but we actually showed up and participated when things were important. Even if we didn't fully understand what some of them were, we still showed up. We were open to learning, and we did participate. So I was always proud of the participation that we had within Portland to show up and do stuff for our community and for each other. We showed up for each other. Be patient with yourself. Be willing to not know everything that's involved in the process. Enjoy the learning of the experience. Just have it be an adventure where you're learning something new. And I would say maybe document it more than we thought about at the time. So when you have your 40th anniversary, when you have your 40th anniversary, you will have, and they have cameras and all this stuff now in your phone. So I think it will be easier, but I would just say document it, enjoy the journey, and don't rush through it. Enjoy it. It's something to behold, to create a new organization and to bring women, Black women, into an organization like this, a sisterhood. I still look back at those pictures of those first women, when they formed this organization, the purposes for the organization, when they marched in Washington, D.C., it's something to be so proud of. So enjoy that.